In your new role, we help you help. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who once took care of you.
I didn't grow up in Bristol, but I had family down here, and I would travel here frequently. And I remember coming to visit my grandmother's sister that lived down here, and her daughter would take us out riding through neighborhoods to look at all the different Christmas lights and decorations. And I remember, I couldn't even tell you what neighborhood it was in, but there was a house, or a couple houses, it seemed like they were in competition with each other. They had Santa Claus and snowman on the roof of the house. And I also remember before I moved to Bristol, coming to the first light show at the racetrack.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
What is it about working in Bristol that's so special? Well, between the culture, shopping, and the music, you're never more than a 5-minute drive away from something exciting. Not to mention the natural beauty that'll hit you like a thunderbolt all year round. And one of the best parts? We're still growing and developing.
They have great training. In dispatch, we are very highly trained. The equipment that we give to our officers, such as radio equipment, everything keeps them very safe, makes our job very, very easy. It's incredible how well we keep up with technology and training and equipment, stuff like that.
The pay is really good. There's a lot of opportunities for overtime, such as the race, rhythm and roots, benefits, and the pay is really good as well. I find it hard to believe that I get paid to do a job like this. I mean, it's a fun job. It's something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid.
What I love about Bristol is the community. You know, we have all kinds of festivals. We have rhythm and roots, you know, the NASCAR. And we are a place that people like together. We are the birthplace of country music. You know, our downtown is kind of revamped. We have a lot of businesses. We have a lot of eateries that are here. So it's a good place to come and just kind of fellowship and hang out and get to know one another.
Bristol is waiting for you. So what are you waiting for? For more details on this position and to apply online, please visit www.bristoltn.org/jobs. The holiday season is in full effect in Bristol. On Monday, November 26th, the annual Christmas tree lighting was held in Cumberland Square Park. The Christmas tree lighting is always a highly anticipated event, and this year featured the Tennessee High School Choir and the John Battle High School Band. The cold temperature and even a little bit of snow did very little to prevent a large crowd from both Bristol, Tennessee and Bristol, Virginia from attending.
Dave Taylor. He was the Christmas spirit at the city garage. And one Christmas, he surprised us. I worked city community service girls, and he showed up with a handful of McDonald's cards and had me to give them to all the girls, including me, for Christmas. And that was just the Christmas spirit that he had.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Inside Bristol. I'm your host Sheridan Nichols, and I've got Clayton Potter here today from the police department, and we are talking about Toys for Tots. What a great organization.
Yes, it is. It's really great.
And the police department's been involved with this for how long?
Since 2016.
Okay, so for a couple of years.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sure everybody out there would love to come by and help. So what do they need to know?
Sure. If you wanted to make a donation, you can come by the police department in the lobby and bring in a new unopened toy, and you can just drop it in the box, and that's all you got to do. There's 2 boxes in the lobby.
So that's as easy as that, and they'll be out there probably up till Christmas?
They'll be there until the 14th.
Okay, so you've got till December 14th, and I know that it's important that they're not wrapped. These are unwrapped
yes,
toys,
unwrapped,
right?
unopened, new toys.
New toys.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
this is a great organization, and it really does help a lot of kids in the area.
It does. It does. On the 15th will be the actual when we hand the toys out.
Okay.
And we usually get quite a few kids that come through and get to have toys for their Christmas this year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you select the kids and how do
they sign up through the website, and once they sign up, we'll take the toys and we'll package them in a bag for them, and the parents can come pick them up.
That's great. So I'm sure this kind of gets you in the holiday spirit.
It does. Yeah, a little.
A little bit. It will on the 15th of December when you see all of those smiles.
Sure. It's a good program, and I enjoy helping everybody out in the community.
And luckily, even though I know Black Friday has come and gone, there's still a ton of great deals out there, and they usually are until Christmas. Lots of buy one, get ones, and you know, all sorts of discounts. So it's a great cause. You'll definitely bring a smile to a child's face, and we just appreciate the police department for you know, making this possible for our community.
Sure, we appreciate everybody that comes and helps us out with this.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on. Go get your toy. Welcome back to Inside Bristol. I'm your host, Sheridan Nichols, and I have David Vinsel with me today from the fire department. And we're really here to talk about some safety tips that we all need to know through the holiday season. Where do we need to start?
Start with your electrical stuff, your lights, your extension cords, things like that. Inspect all your cords before you put them on anything. If they're frayed, if they're very old, you need to get rid of them and replace them. Make sure all your outdoor cords are UL certified for outdoor use, and check those also. Try to look for things that have ground fault circuit interrupters in them, so that if there is a short, it'll trip it there instead of going all the way back to the house. That's a good starting place.
And then, of course, we've got to worry about our trees sometimes, too,
With
and
the
be careful with
trees,
that.
you need to keep them watered, and keep anything like candles, space heaters, things like that away from them, because once they dry out, they can ignite, and when they ignite, they can burn very rapidly. Same with the Christmas lights that you put on your trees. Make sure you inspect all the cords, but the big thing is watering them and keeping them watered. Don't let them go more than a day or so without putting any in them. And when you dispose of them, throw them outside. Don't throw them in your fireplace. Cut them up, throw them in your fireplace, anything like that. Let them be disposed of properly.
And then, of course, this is a big time of year where a lot of us are cooking. So that's another place we all need to be careful.
People get in the habit of leaving the kitchen to go do something else and coming back. Don't do that and leave stuff on the stove, because a lot of things can readily ignite, especially if you're using cooking oils and grease and stuff like that. Then you don't want to leave the kitchen. Same thing with using candles. Try to keep those away from any decorations. And more people are looking at going to doing the flameless candles, the ones that use LED lights. Those are a lot safer. So if that's something you can use instead of a real candle, then we recommend that as well.
Yeah, those are great. And is there anything else that I'm missing?
Make sure you've got enough smoke detectors in your home. Also, carbon monoxide detectors. Make sure those are properly working. Whenever you leave home, don't leave your lights on or plugged up or anything like that. Make sure everything's turned off when you leave. Check the candles, make sure they're out. And now that it's getting colder, people are using their fireplaces more. Make sure you get your chimney inspected by a certified chimney sweep to make sure everything's good in there, to reduce any chances of chimney fires during the season.
And then the nice thing too is if you do have any questions, you can always call the fire department,
Yes.
and somebody will even come out
Yes.
to look at your home and just to make sure that it's safe.
We can
So
do-
they would rather be there on that call than the other kind of call. That
We can do home inspections. Also, if you don't have smoke detectors, if you'll call down to our main station, then they'll make an appointment. We'll actually bring smoke detectors out to you and install them for you.
Yeah, because we want everybody to have just a really safe holiday season.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for being on today and for sharing these good reminders with us.
Thank you for having us.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm here for my flu shot, and I understand that there are options for people who are 65 and older.
There are, but you don't look 65.
It's very flattering, but you know who I am. I just turned 65, and I know the immune system gets weaker with age.
Well, I don't think that we've met, but there's no way you were 65.
What if I said I only have one life to live, so I need protection against the flu? How about who's the boss of my health?
You've never seen Who's the Boss?
Oh, my boss is in the back.
See, flu season is here, and people 65 and older need to ask about the vaccine made specifically for their age. And it's particularly important for people who have conditions like heart disease and diabetes.
True to the light. Great seeing you. Come on back.
Visit the National Council on Aging at ncoa.org/flu to learn more and talk to your doctor about vaccine options for people 65 and older.
Look, I'm really sorry about that. I thought you were 35.
Don't apologize.
Welcome back to the show. I have Maggie Bishop with us today from Believe in Bristol, and it's always wonderful to have you on the show. And this is a neat tradition called the Journey's End. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, it's actually the 20th year for Journey's End in downtown Bristol, and it's a lovely holiday favorite tradition. It is the story of Los Posados, which is Mary and Joseph's journey to Bethlehem, and it is just a lovely evening. It's very short. It's December 18th, starts at 6 o'clock and it ends at 7. But there's area churches set up in different, on the outside of different businesses downtown, and then the group that comes out gets candle and does a processional down, and there's singing along, and it's just a really lovely evening. There's not a definite street closure. They do a rolling barricade, so people can make their way downtown and join in as they see the procession go downtown. But it's just lovely to watch and to participate in.
Absolutely, and it's always nice to be downtown, especially during the holidays with all of the lights. And this is a little different than some other traditions that we have, which I think is really neat.
It is. It's a feel good. It's the reason for the season, and we're just so happy to be a part of it and to work with the area churches to pull this off for the community, and it's just lovely. It's one of my favorites.
So I'm sure that it's kind of just changed and grown over the years. What have you seen as it's unfolded? Yeah, well, it's been really cool to see different youth portray Mary and Joseph and show off their talents vocally, and to see that grow, and to see, even when it's chilly and, frigid outside, the people that come out to celebrate together. It is a free event, so we welcome all, as we do for all of our events, and it's cool to see how the procession grows as we make it down to, it'll end at the Paramount, to see how the procession grows as people join in along the way, which is my favorite part. So definitely mark your calendars for that evening, and it is a quick hour, really.
Yes, it is Tuesday, December 8th. Like I said, it starts at 6 o'clock at the Downtown Center where their country music mural is, and then we make our way down to the Paramount Center for the Arts. And then following Journey's End will be, Paramount has the senior show choir. We'll perform at 7. So it's a nice little lovely holiday evening for everyone.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for being on the show today, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I've been thinking about this question a lot. Favorite holiday, Christmas time memories. I think one of the things about growing up in Bristol is there's a lifetime of Christmas memories. You remember spending time with family and friends, and you know, going to your grandparents' house on Christmas Eve and having paper wad fights with the gift wrapping paper with uncles and cousins and all that kind of stuff. Getting together with family again and having Christmas Day dinner and all those special moments. And I remember holiday shopping downtown, going into H.P. King. Probably the first year that I ever Christmas shopped with my own money. I was 8 years old, and somewhere along during the year decided, you know what, this year I want to Christmas shop. And so I saved up my allowance for probably weeks, because I think at that age I got like $1 a week. And I remember, you know, just stashing my money away each week, and then along about somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas, going to Hill's department store. And every time you think Hill's department store, you automatically think of that popcorn smell. The smell of that popcorn's probably still in that building to this day. And just remember looking around and buying stuff for people. And you know, with a budget of an 8-year-old, you're probably not spending too much, but some of the things that I bought people I don't even remember, with the exception of my dear mom. I for some reason found this plastic turtle with bath powder in it. So my dear mother, for her very first Christmas present from me, gets a plastic green turtle with bath powder in it. And I think that thing sat in her bathroom for years, and knowing Mom, you can probably find it somewhere in storage to this day. But I think about stuff like that, and I think about all the Christmas programs that I did at church growing up as a kid, and the Christmas programs that my music teachers at school always made sure that we did each and every year. And then in concert choir in junior high and high school, having those performances. I remember going away at college and coming home at Christmas, and my first year away at University of Tennessee, I'm coming home, and literally right about the time you get out of Knoxville city limits, there's snow, and driving all the way home up the interstate, and there's snow on the ground. And that year, for some reason, I guess because it was cold and it was winter, snow stayed on the ground all through the Christmas season. Even to the day that I pulled out of the driveway to go back, there was still snow on the ground. So that was a cool white Christmas memory. And just when you think about Merry Christmas memories and holiday memories, so many come flooding back. And that's just one of the cool things about growing up in this town. It's ultimate small town America, and brings about a lot of memories. Merry Christmas, everybody.
We'll call to order this Bristol, Tennessee City Council meeting of December 4th, 2018. Tara, would you call the roll?
King.
Here.
Bowers.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Denise. Here. Firearm.
Here. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for attending tonight's meeting. Your interest in our city government is appreciated. There's a number of opportunities for public to speak on matters of city business this evening. A sheet explaining those opportunities has been made available to you when entering the meeting room. As we go through tonight's agenda, I'll note each time when public comment is welcome. In addition, we have a sign-up sheet that's been provided as you entered City Council, and those individuals desiring to address City Council during the appearance of citizens section on our agenda will be recognized. I'd like for Eric Fields, pastor at Grace Bible Church in Kingsport and founder of the Summit Companies here in Bristol, and a very engaged community leader, to lead us in our invocation tonight. Appreciate it. And following our invocation, Councilwoman Lee Powers will lead us in the pledge. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us pray. Dear Father, we thank you for the great blessing it is to be able to gather here together. We thank you for the sacrifice of so many that came before us who made this opportunity possible. We ask that you would fill us with the gratitude that is necessary, that we would appreciate what a blessing it is. We thank you for the service of the many men and women here, and we ask that you would just fill their hearts with courage, fill their minds with discernment, and fill them with compassion to make decisions that would be glorifying to you, and that would allow us to be the best stewards of the resources with which you have blessed us. We thank you for the concern and for the interest of the many citizens that are here, and we ask that the decisions that are made would be glorifying to you, but that we would also be a stronger, a more unified community based on the discussions, based on the engagement that comes this evening. We thank you once again for the blessing, and we just ask that your hand would be over this time, and we ask these things in your Son's holy name. Amen.
If you please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Soar, do you have any items to add to the agenda this evening?
No, Mayor, the agenda is complete.
Thank you very much. The first item on our agenda is the recognition of one of our employees through our city's Bristol's First Award program. The city has over 340 full and part-time employees that serve the community on a daily basis. We frequently hear of employees that go above and beyond their service. To that end, the Bristol First program has been developed to recognize their efforts. Tonight, we honor our latest recipient of the Bristol First Award. Ms. Terry Talbert, Director of Community Relations, is here to present to us, give us a brief overview of the program, and announce tonight's winner. Terry?
As each of us know, every day our city employees go above and beyond the call of duty in about any situation that they're in, and we are always so proud of them and honored to give them an honor. And that they are recognized by people in our community. And as I've said, every time I've been up here, we realize every day that our employees are our greatest asset. Our recipient tonight is Angie Rutherford. Angie was nominated by Mr. Michael Johnston, who has worked for the city on event staff for a number of years, and he had this to say. Angie performs her job with the highest of efficiency. She does a great job with the summer concert series. She performs her duties as expected, but goes beyond and above her expected job requirements. I have noticed that she always greets everyone with a smile and asks everyone if there's anything else that she can do for them, and she tries to make everything right. She also suggests lodging and food venues for the many different performers who perform at the downtown center. During this extremely hot summer, she made sure that there was adequate ice and water on the stage. She does the same thing at Christmas at the Christmas craft show each year, making sure everyone is where they're supposed to be. She is a delightful lady and pleasant to work with. Her personality and attitude are an asset to the city of Bristol. We may not always remember the things that she does, but we will always remember the way she makes everyone feel. Angie, if you'll come to the front.
Congratulations, and thank you, Angie, for your work, and we thank all of our employees for the jobs that they do, and particularly in weather like this, we have lots of folks who are out in the inclement weather doing hard jobs, so appreciate everybody. So we have no presentations or public hearings on tonight's agenda, so the next section is the appearance of citizens. This section provides an opportunity for the public to address City Council on any matter that is not on the printed agenda for formal consideration. Comments are limited to matters of city business only. A response will not likely be made at this time, since it's, in most cases, neither City Council nor the City Manager will be prepared to effectively respond to concerns. The City Manager will look into the matter, report back to City Council, or as appropriate, have staff meet with you in an effort to satisfy your concern. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Groups are encouraged to select a spokesperson to represent them. And I have a list of folks who have signed up to speak to our City Council this evening, so we will start with that list. And the first name is Danny Cook. If you can come forward and give your name, address, and your comments.
Okay. Name is Danny Cook. The address that I would be using is my mother's, which is 150 Springdale Road. I'm here on behalf of her, along with my daughter, who also lives here in the city of Bristol, and my granddaughter. So I appreciate your time. I want to start out, since I only have 3 minutes, which obviously can't get through a lot of information that I think is important to understand. I mean, we discussed what we're going to have for dinner longer than 3 minutes, so I would have hoped that healthcare would get a little bit longer time than that. Having said that, I want to dig right in. In January of 2018, the Tennessee State Department of Health issued a COPA to Ballot Health, and despite vehement opposition from the FTC, and there are several components to this hospital merger, the proposed and implemented changes to care, COPA, and its oversight that are of extreme concern to the public, as it creates a significant disadvantage in the following areas: patient access to health care, increased cost of health care, quality of care received, and the employee impact. I'm going to skip some of the other things, and I want to talk specifically about the proposed changes. The level 3 NICU in Holston Valley Medical Center, you all have been told, has a daily census of 7. What I can tell you is that the accurate number is 268 babies have been admitted into that NICU between July of 2017 and June of 2018. 66 of those were NAS babies. Those are babies that are drug exposed, which constitutes 25% of all the babies born in Indian Path. Just let that sink in for a minute. 66 babies were also respiratory distress babies. 84 of them were premature. Less than 10% of the babies that need grand volume care, less than 10%. The rest of them are the babies that need care like readily available to them. An extra 30 minutes in an ambulance ride is critical to care. Ask any mother. I'm a grandmother. My grandbaby was born in Holston Valley. I know the importance of what that is. These numbers that you're being given, pieces of them are accurate, but you have to look at the data in totality. What I'm most surprised by is how the members of the surrounding counties and the governments are letting boards tell you how to vote, are letting people who have an agenda, who are running a business, tell you what's in the best interest of your constituents. You were elected and chosen for a responsible action, and that's to look out for the health and well-being of the people who live here, not to listen to somebody's marketing agenda. Here's the thing, guys. It's not just about getting them to a level 3 NICU, because obviously we have one in Holston Valley. I want you to think about the transport time, the separation of mother, family from the baby in a community that is anywhere from 18 to 40% living in poverty. You tell me how 66 babies whose parents are drug addicts or are using opioids have the transportation, have the time, and have the finances to get to Johnson City to see their loved ones in NICU, the babies. It's not about babies surviving, it's about them thriving. And what I can tell you is the American Academy of Pediatrics states that 7% of infant mortalities can be impacted by the characteristics of that hospital and the programs that are in place, not just the volume of babies that are being shipped there. It's important that you think about that. Most of the mothers who have babies in NICUs suffer postpartum depression. How does that work when your baby's 45 minutes to an hour away from you and you can't afford to get to them? These things matter, folks. If you want to talk about downgrading your trauma centers, the only thing I'm going to tell you about that is it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know this. Your level 2 trauma center.
Can you finish up?
Absolutely. Your level 2 trauma center in Bristol right now has 24 specialists that have to be there or on call 24/7. When you're downgraded to a level 3, you will have 4.
Okay.
4.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on our list, we have Julie Ketron. Okay. And then we have, is it Tim? Brad, it's not Bradshaw.
I was prepared to speak to you about the common sense.
Can you give your name again and your address?
My name is Tim Bradshaw. I'm from Kingsport, Tennessee. I'm a resident of Sullivan County. I've been involved with emergency medical services for over 30 years in one capacity or another. My comments tonight were going to be about common sense approach to what happens with losing Bristol Regional Medical Center as a level 2 trauma center. Danny touched on the number of specialists that are required to be there. Now, instead, I'm going to give you a little preamble of what you're going to see from Ballad Healthcare when you present them on your agenda and listen to their marketing plan. They are going to tell you that even though those services are not required to be there, they are going to continue to be there. The level of service is not going to change. Well, folks, it's not rocket science. If the level of service is not going to change and the same people are going to be there, why give up your level 2 designation? They may be there 8 to 5 or 7 to 4 or 6 to 3, but are they going to be there at 2 o'clock in the morning when you need them? Or are you going to Johnson City or Houston Valley or Roanoke? It's numbers games, folks. So I'm going to finish up pretty quick, and I know a few of you personally, and a few of you I think to be the ones that I do know very good people. Fight for your constituents, and I'm hoping that the people of Bristol see this tonight either through WJHL or the Facebook Live that's going on, and receive a call to arms to stand up for you to fight for them to have equal health care across our region, because that's what's not is what is happening. We are losing our equal health care. If you want to trust in Ballad, after seeing all the issues and the confidence and the trust issues with what's going on since this merger has happened, then by all means, drink the Kool-Aid.
All right. Next on our list, we have Malin Luttrell.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Zorer, and Council. My name is Malin Luttrell. I reside at 224 Memory Lane, Bristol, Tennessee. I'm also the current president of Bristol Baseball Incorporated, doing business as the Bristol Pirates. I come before you to talk a little bit about professional baseball in Bristol, as well as an upcoming milestone. This coming year, 2019, will mark the 50th consecutive season and a total of 75 seasons that Bristol can proudly say that we have had professional baseball in our community, and I'm hoping that will not be our last. It all started back in 1911 at a location called Fairmount Park, which is located next to where Fairmount School is today. In fact, may even be a part of the school's property. The team at the time was called the Bristol Boosters, and its first manager was named Davy Crockett, but no relation to the guy with the raccoon skin hat. Since that humble beginning, there have been over 3,000 players, coaches, and staff that have come from all over the U.S. and the world that have called Bristol home for the summer. This does not include any fans or families or all of the opposing team members and their staffs that traveled here to play against our beloved teams. Since that beginning, there have been around 200 individuals that went on to either play or coach in the major leagues. There have been 19 individuals that have played in the World Series. There have been many greats that got their start right here in Bristol as well. Just to name a few, Alan Trammell, who was just inducted into Hall of Fame this summer, Lou Whitaker, Mark the Bird Fidrich, Freddie Garcia, Lance Parrish, Travis Fryman, Carlos Lee, and a gentleman by the name of Bobby Thompson, who was a Bristol Twin back in 1942. Bobby was famous for what is known as the shot that was heard around the world, which is one of baseball's greatest moments. Thompson became a celebrity for his walk-off three-run homer for the New York Giants off Brooklyn Dodgers pitcher Ralph Branca to win the 1951 National League pennant. Last but not least is Ron Nitschei, who was a player on the 1952 Bristol Twins team but was assigned here by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Ron set a pitching record here in Bristol on May 13th, 1952, when he struck out 27 batters on that night. This is a record that will stand forever. I could go on with much more about the history of baseball in Bristol and its importance. I will be leaving this Saturday heading to the annual baseball winter meetings. I know that there's going to be some serious conversations going on as the condition of the present facility here, which I have conveyed to our sister city a few weeks ago. I will let everyone know as to that outcome. On a personal note, I would like to ask everyone to keep in their thoughts and prayers for the family of Joey Seaver, who passed away yesterday afternoon. Joey was our pitching coach this past season and a former coach at Walters State Community College, where he coached and mentored many high school players from Bristol and the surrounding area. In my 17 years of professional baseball, I have never run across a more humble or kinder person in the game. During this past season, I got pretty close to Joey and his family, and I'll tell you, Joey will be missed by many. Lastly, I just want to thank you and all the employees of the city for all the hard work and dedication to make this city a great place to live. I would also like to wish each of you a very Merry Christmas and a safe holiday, and hope to see everyone next year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question real quick.
Yes.
For Ms. Cook or Mr. Bradshaw, and just a question. Have you established a grassroots regional meeting that we need to be aware of, where you will be sharing this information?
There is one that's being organized currently, but the date and location has not been finalized yet.
I think that would be good information just to share with our city manager that will then share that with us.
And I can tell you that December 13th at 10 a.m., I will personally be meeting with Ballot Health. So if there's anything you guys want to answer, please feel free to let me know.
Thank you for your time.
One of the things, just to add, two of us on this board have served on the Bristol local hospital board, and this has been going on for 5 years. I can tell you of us, if we had a vote in this, it may have gone a different way. I don't know that everybody in this community, I don't know that anybody on this board or thought that this was the right thing to do. The truth is, no one really knows. Of course, the Affordable Care Act threw a lot of things into hard positions, including the hospitals. So moving forward, the only thing we can do is we have what we have. We need to move forward. One of the things that you did not mention, though, that you may not know about is Ballot has gone with a 4% increase across the board on all services. So that's something you may consider, not only the reduction in services. And I don't want to get into a debate or anything and talk about this, but that is something that you guys should know. Okay.
We still have another person. Mark Hutchins. I think we don't transfer time in between individuals. So would you like to speak, or? Okay. Okay, is there anyone else present who would like to speak to council this evening? If not, yeah, if you want to talk afterwards. And I also would say that for objections to what's going on with Ballad Health, the process is to work with the state, and so some of that can be with getting information on the website Tennessee Health, or emailing tennesseehealth@tn.gov. And we're not going to get into it, but that's the official way to do it, to register complaints. So.
But that's actually not accurate. I'm just saying, I gave my 3 minutes.
Right.
You let someone else have
Right.
longer than 3. Then you all brought up things and now you don't want me to respond to them.
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Let us know when the meeting is, and we're also scheduling informational meetings as well. So, thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we have appointments, and there are no appointments on our agenda. So next we have ordinances and resolutions. Mr. Soar, if you want to tell us about the first one.
Yes, Mayor. We have on your agenda this evening the first reading of Ordinance 18-15. This was the topic of a work session discussion at the end of last month. This deals with the proposed rezoning of property along English Street, Melrose Street, 7th Street, and Volunteer Parkway. As you're aware, there are 15 parcels within this particular area, 3 of which are owned by the city. The balance, 3 of those 12, the remaining, are owned by Mr. Carl Moore, Jr. I think most of you know as Randy Moore. He approached staff a short time ago requesting consideration of rezoning the property from M1 Light Industrial to B3 Business Commercial. The staff evaluated the entire area for the appropriateness of that rezoning request, not only the parcels requested by Mr. Moore, but also the balance of the adjacent property, and found that in terms of character, the entire area was suitable for rezoning to B3. Staff made a recommendation to the Planning Commission at their November 19th meeting. It did come forward with a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission. Mr. Beavers is with us this evening that will further detail the issue and define it through the PowerPoint presentation of the property scope.
Good evening. As Mr. Soar mentioned, this is a rezoning for properties located along English Street and the Volunteer Parkway and a little bit along 7th. The applicant was Carl R. Moore, Jr. Most people know him as Randy Moore, and he does contain 3 of those parcels, owned 3 of those. He wanted to do the rezoning to allow residential to be on his property. Currently, the M1 Light Industrial Business does not allow residential development on those properties. When staff was looking at the parcels, we saw a hole in the city of M1 that is surrounded by business, and that's, we'll see on another slide, but we wanted to expand as a request because future land use plan showed it as commercial to include all the parcels in that M1 because the area, as you will see, staff believed it was not suitable for M1 at this time and day. There are 12 parcels other than the 3 parcels owned by the city that are owned by 7 property owners. You can see on this, the outline of the M1 zone is in red. It's sort of hard to tell, but on the right, you will see English Street. On the left, you'll see Applebee's, the bridge across there, and you'll see the Windsor Avenue intersection, but that is the area currently zoned M1. This is the zoning map. As you can see that, once again, the area outlined in red is zoned M1, and you can see B3 is the predominant zoning around the properties at this time. You have a little spot of B2, a little spot of B1A, and then some R3 zoning along 7th Street. This is the future land use map. Again, outlined in red is the current M1 zoning, and the red pink here indicates that it is a commercial use as far as the future plan use is concerned. We show this map again, and it's hard to see on these, but there are some parcels in blue. There are 3 of those 7 property owners that didn't. 2 did not want to be rezoned to B3. They wanted to stay industrial. One's a machine shop and one's an automotive repair use. And then 1 is also Hygientech property there on the Parkway. The other 2 are on 7th. Those properties, if they were zoned to B3, and we'll show some slides of some uses, would still be an allowed use in B3. So rezoning them would not make it grandfathered or anything. They would still be an allowed use. This is a shot looking north. You can see the Parkway on the left. You can see South Side here in Melrose on the bottom and on the right, and then 7th sort of on the top. But that area, as you can see, is mostly surrounded by some residential and business. It's not really a manufacturing type area. It's a shot looking south. You'll see Applebee's in the center, and down at the top of the page, down going south, you'll see Melrose Street. That's a little further down. The machine shop is sort of in the left center, and also the auto repair shop on 7th. This is again looking sort of north. B3, these are some of the uses. These are not all the uses. In your package you had a more extensive list, but these are some of the uses allowed in the B3 zone. These are the uses allowed in the M1 zone. I guess I want to point out here the most critical thing is that first bullet, is that any use permitted in the B3 zone, with the exception of the funeral homes and residential, are allowed in an M1 zone. So M1 does allow all B3 uses except for the residential and funeral homes. But you can see M1, the ice plants, gas storage facilities, they called it flammable liquid, coal yards, you can read those. But in that area, we do not feel those are appropriate uses at this time. Years ago when it was zoned M1, maybe so, but now staff does not believe it to be the appropriate uses. When we looked at this, we did recommend staff to rezone the property from M1 to B3 for the reasons shown. It's compatible with the future land use map. The majority of the surrounding properties are zoned and used as business. Characteristics of the area are more compatible with the B3 zone. And just as another note, we did receive 2 comments from adjacent property owners not inside the rezoning area that were in favor of the rezoning. And Planning Commission, as Mr. Soar said, unanimously forwarded a favorable recommendation to City Council for rezoning from M1 to B3. And with that, I'll try to answer any questions.
Does anyone have questions?
That is the only property that would be rezoned, correct?
Those 3 parcels.
The 12 parcels, yes.
Within,
or 15 parcels total, but 12.
So Hygientech would be rezoned?
Yes, that would be one.
And what was his reason for objection?
He did not want residential around him, so it wasn't really his, but the adjacent properties to be rezoned residential,
And
to allow residential use.
And his zoning right now is M1?
He's M1, and it would be recommended to go to B3. He's the little triangle in the center, the little blue triangle there. So.
But his business would still be allowed in B3?
Yes. All the businesses that did not want to be rezoned would still be allowed in the B3.
So his reasoning had nothing to do with himself. It was just projection onto other property owners?
Yes, residential uses on other property owners.
Any other questions?
As a matter of procedure, if you do approve this tonight, we'll have a public hearing and then second reading at our January 8th meeting.
Right. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is
Second.
What was
Oh,
your?
there is a motion that we approve ordinance 1815 as stated in regard to the property, moving it from an M1 to a B3.
Thank you. Okay, and a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Would anybody like to discuss this further?
I'm a little concerned about our businesses that were objectional to this. So I will vote yes to this, and I will discuss that with the businesses before our second reading.
Okay.
Was there a business other than Hygienotech that was negative towards it?
There were two of them we did get responses back from. You see the two on 7th there in blue. One's a machine shop. We really didn't hear back one way or the other from them after multiple times trying to get them to tell us one way or the other. So we just took it as a negative response. The car shop was against it for the same reason. He didn't want B3 on the residential on adjacent properties to be allowed.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'd like to comment. Serving on Planning Commission, I did support this, and the top 2 parts for me were about, number 1, it's compatible with long-term land use, and number 2, it doesn't have a negative effect on these business owners to continue to operate on their existing footprint. So I plan to support it.
Okay. Anybody else? Is there anyone here tonight who would like to discuss this issue? Seeing no one, if there's no further discussion, Tara, I think we're ready to vote.
King?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Young?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Firehouser?
Yes. All right, and as Mr. Soar said, that'll be a public hearing and a second reading at our January meeting. Okay, next we have a resolution 18104 that's the joint Tri-Cities legislative policy for 2019, and Mr. Soar is going to give an overview of that.
Yes, Mayor, this is an annual event that, or an annual process that the Tri-Cities go through for probably the last 3 decades as they've developed a joint legislative policy to take before the General Assembly prior to their convening for the next year. The legislative policy is jointly developed so that it provides a unified position of the 3 governments going forward. As you're aware, the legislative policy is discussed with each of the governing bodies during a work session type format in November, and then they each consider it in terms of approval at their business meeting in December. We'll carry forward this policy to Nashville and at a time still to be determined in February, much as we did last year. The policy has 15 objectives that are categorized in 5 different areas of focus. The first being urban growth and planning, and within that there are annexation and de-annexation issues that draw attention. Education is another focus, and specifically this year, the maintenance of effort and good quantification of that, and addressing some concerns that have been raised previously. Local revenue is typically a mainstay in our legislative policy, and it deals with statutory ability or statutory changes that could enhance local government revenues going forward. As you're aware, with the loss of the Hall income tax, there are gaps to cover with municipal revenue. Public safety and public health cover such items as smoking, opioid issues, and pain clinics. And as you recall, our county district attorney has added language this year focused on pain centers and the regulation of those. And then lastly, under transportation, passenger rail has been an issue. I know in past there were 2 areas that you provided input during our work session. Both of those have been incorporated within this policy document, and it's working its way through the process. I believe Kingsport is also considering this document tonight, and then Johnson City, I think Thursday evening at their business meeting. So.
All right, we've gone over this at work session. Does anybody have any questions for staff? Is there a motion to endorse this legislative agenda?
Motion to endorse Resolution 18104 in regard to our joint legislative policy for the 2019 session of the Tennessee General Assembly.
Excellent. Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion?
Well, realizing that there wasn't a motion and a second other than the two of us, are we not in agreement on this? Are there some real concerns as to our silence tonight that we all need to be aware of?
I plan to support it. My only reservation, as I said at the work session, was the lines we had about enabling local options for meals tax.
Right.
But I plan to support it.
Yeah,
I was
I'll
going
be supporting
I was going to ask, I know you didn't touch on it as much, but transportation, I think, has an increased emphasis on some of the rail discussions that we've had too. So I think that's of note.
You know, whenever we put one of these together, and is this the 5th year that we as a council would put this together? There are always, just for clarification, is that there are always points in any of our legislative, joint legislative policy and the agenda that follows with that. There are always parts of it that we're not all in agreement on, but collectively we're voting on endorsing the comprehensive legislative policy. For us to go through and to cherry pick out nuances in it would not be in the best interest of trying to move forward regionally and trying to work with our state legislators.
Okay. And I would like to add that since this is our 5th year of presenting to the Tennessee General Assembly, I don't know how much impact we're actually having at the state level. At some point, Mr. Sora, if we could have some feedback or results as to this is what we presented, this is what action the state took, et cetera, so that we can kind of keep up with, are our efforts being heard? Are we making any impact? Are there indeed any changes coming forth as to what we're speaking to our state representatives? So if we could have that information going forward, I think that would be very helpful in our ongoing dialogue with the state.
I'd be glad to do that.
I agree, that would be excellent, and to track back the 5 years,
Yeah, I
because
would.
as
You can't
our
do it in 1 year.
representatives, yeah, I mean, you know, to go back, and I don't want to create a lot of work for anyone, but, you know, to go back
Are we
and to
being
track.
heard? Yeah.
Yeah, because we can then take that to our representatives and say, you know, look, we're
We've
the
been
first
asking
line.
for-
We're the boots on the ground here, and, you know, this is what we need. And what we need is not necessarily what Shelby County needs, or not necessarily what Sumner County needs,
And maybe we can integrate that into our presentation coming up and say,
I
look,
think that's
these
an
are the
excellent
things that we
idea.
have been asking for X number of years. This is, you know, whether there's been any change at all, or any response, or any movement.
The update would be very easy to do.
Great.
It'd be very easy to do, and I'd be glad to review that in an upcoming work session. Matter of fact, the timing would be appropriate in advance of the visit with the General Assembly in February.
And to share it with, or work with others
Sure.
for getting that update. Also, I think Bill alluded to, whether you said we might not have been paying full attention. We last year did change our approach, so we're trying to try different approaches to see if a different way of doing things is more effective as well. So that might be interesting to look at in the future too, if
Sure.
that seems to make more of a difference. So, okay, did I ask if there was anybody who wished to speak to this already? I have not. Does anybody here wish to address council on this matter tonight? All right, if not, I think we're ready to vote.
King?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Young?
Yes.
Denise? Yes. Fire Robin?
Yes. All right, our consent agenda. Mr. Sori, will you please read the items listed on tonight's consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor. First for consideration is the minutes from the November 6th, 2018 City Council meeting. Minutes from the November 27th, 2018 City Council work session. Resolution 18106 authorizing entry into an agreement with Norfolk and Southern Railway Company for railroad crossing improvements. And Resolution 18107 awarding a bid for the purchase of bulk fuel.
All right, does anyone on City Council wish to remove any item? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve consent
Second.
agenda.
All right, thank you. Okay, Tara, we're ready.
King,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes. All right, so at this time, we have our Director of Schools, Dr. Gary Lilly, to give a little report on what's going on in our school system with the end of the semester and holiday season and everything.
Thank you. I want to share some news and then highlight a couple of opportunities for volunteering. We were very fortunate. The Reading Buddies Bristol program, which is actually in combination with our school system in Bristol, Virginia Public Schools, but the program received some funding from Speedway Children's Charities on the Night of Smiles, and we're very appreciative for that, and that's going to help us pay for some food for some parent meetings and books for kids. This past week, we actually kicked off a complimentary program called Reading to Learn. And that program is in partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters. And the Bigs, the adult mentors, will serve students in grades 3, 4, and 5, which is where Reading Buddies leaves off after grade 2. And it'll initially roll out at Anderson and Fairmount, and they will work with students for an hour a week, and half that time will be devoted to working on literacy. So we're really excited about that. And also, we need mentors for Tennessee Promise. Of course, that's the program that promises that lets students attend community college or TCAT center for free after high school. One part of that is that it requires a mentor. And so Sullivan County, they don't really report by school system, but by county. And Sullivan County is short 42 mentors. So the deadline had actually already passed, and they've extended it until December 15th. So I know all of you have a very large circle of influence. So as you talk to folks, if people would be interested in volunteering, then that's a great program too. To sign up, folks just go to tnachieves.org, and the sign up is super simple, or they can just Google Tennessee Promise Mentor and get there.
And how many did you say that we are in need of?
42 in Sullivan County.
That's 42 mentors or 42 students needed?
42 mentors are needed.
Which there's 4 to 6 students per mentor.
That is correct. Yes. Yes. Christmas season, of course, is here, and it's a wonderful time for many, many reasons. But one of those reasons is because Arby's Classic begins right after Christmas and goes up until the day before New Year's. And so we're excited about that. We've got a very accomplished and exciting field of teams coming into play. The passes will be available at the Tennessee High Athletic Office and at both Bristol Arby's locations, and you all will get complimentary passes as a token of appreciation for all of your support for the school system. So be on the lookout for those. We've not gotten those out yet, but we'll soon. Holidays are great, but they can be difficult for families in need. And our Community Resource Center, and we've got several student groups, do a whole lot to support students and families in need. In fact, at Thanksgiving, 140 different families receive some combination of food baskets and Food City gift certificates. At Christmas, we're going to have 163 students who will be served by Santa Pal, and 140 who will be served by the Jonna Berry Memorial Toy Drive. So we're happy that we can provide those services to students and their families, and just so proud of the Community Resource Center and the student groups that work really hard to do that. I'd like to apologize for missing the upcoming luncheon on Thursday. I was really looking forward to that. The Tennessee Education Commissioner McQueen actually requested that I participate on a RFP committee for the new assessment in Tennessee. I'll be the sole superintendent from East Tennessee serving in that role, so I kind of felt obligated to do that. Given the testing experience in Tennessee over the past few years, I welcome the opportunity to to participate, but I will definitely miss the food and fellowship on Thursday. I know the board members and Dr. Tudor, who will be serving in my place, are really looking forward to it. And with that, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Sora.
Okay, I'd like to remind City Council of several meetings or activities really over the next 2.5 weeks before the holidays. You've got a pretty full schedule. This Thursday, as Dr. Lilly alluded to, at noon, we'll have a joint meeting with the Council, Board of Education, and the Sullivan County Commissioners from the Bristol area. This will be held at the Nature Center at Steel Creek Park. Also, Thursday, December 6th at 7 p.m. is the annual Christmas parade, which you all participate in as well as staff. There's also Mr. Chris Lee has graciously extended the hospitality of Bill Gatton Chevrolet Cadillac for snacks and bathrooms and hot chocolate and so forth prior to the parade. So please come and enjoy the hospitality. It's always a pleasant evening. The event as well as the visit. That Chris Lee provides. Also on Monday, December 10th at 11:30, this group will receive a report from the Walker Collaborative on the results and recommendations of the Downtown Strategic Action Plan. This will be held in our annex conference room. Stakeholders are invited to hear a similar presentation at 2 p.m. in the same location that afternoon. And then on Tuesday, December the 11th at 8 a.m., we'll have the annual Coffee with the Mayors at the Bristol Hotel. This event provides an opportunity for the downtown community that was not part of the stakeholder group to hear about from the Walker Collaborative about the downtown specific findings they had and path forward with toward a different economic strategy for downtown. The mayors will also, representing the Twin Cities, will also be there. This is an annual opportunity that most of you have had an opportunity to participate in which the downtown merchants, property owners, loft residents have an opportunity to have dialogue with you. Also on Tuesday, December 11th at noon, I'd like to make sure that you're invited to our annual luncheon that recognizes the longevity of several of our employees. We recognize employees who have been with us from 5 years all the way up this year to 2 employees with over 40 years of service to the city. Then lastly, we'll have our December the 18th work session at 5:30 p.m. In the annex conference room as normal. And with that, I'd like to wish everyone a very happy holiday season.
Thank you. All right, council comments.
I'll start on the far end, I guess. With us getting into winter, as we saw some flurries today and maybe a little more depending on what part of the community you were in, we've got a lot of folks who will be out on the roads making sure that they're still passable for us, and all the support folks who go with that. So I just want to say thank you as we get into this season, and be careful out there as you go visit family and friends, and Merry Christmas.
I'll book in from this end then and say Merry Christmas to everybody, and I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Appreciate the work that you're doing concerning bowel health. I know you've put a lot of time and effort into it, and I hope to see can't wait to see results that you may get from that. Talk with you about that as well. Real proud of Angie Rutherford and the work that you do, and really all the employees of our city. Appreciate everyone's hard work, and as Jack said, we've got some tough months coming up. We had a little taste of that today with some snow flurries. We did have a joint meeting with our Industrial Development Board with Bristol, Virginia, as Margaret reminded me at our work session. As things kind of move into a regional type format, it's good to talk with county commissioners and cities, city officials, and industrial development boards and utility boards and things of that nature. So appreciate everything there, and I'll leave it with a Merry Christmas to everyone as well.
I'll jump in. Today I had the privilege of going to see our 4-year-old grandson in his Christmas program at school, And as I was going in, I couldn't help but notice a tree that had had several plastic wrappers around gloves and hats and scarves, and the tree was bare. And it served as such a great reminder that while we're sitting here this evening and warm, there are a lot of people in our community, both in Bristol, Tennessee and Bristol, Virginia, that we need to check on. If we have any extra hats or gloves or scarves, they can be taken to any of the fire stations. It was amazing to me today, and very impactful that, as a reminder, that check on our neighbors. Through the schools, I know they're constantly checking on children, even over the Christmas holidays, that have those needs. So I would like for everyone to just hold our community in your thoughts and prayers for their safety through this cold weather. Secondly is Central Presbyterian Church will be doing a program called Love Came Down December 16th at 3 o'clock. Central Presbyterian Church is located at 301 Euclid Avenue in Bristol, Virginia, and the beneficiary of this program will be Bristol Faith in Action, which reaches out to help a lot of our different needs in the community. I think it's great this time of year that we take a moment and that we look around us, and regionally, I think I'm not sure if there's some confusion about regionalism, but regionalism in our part of the state and in Southwest Virginia has been going on for decades. This is not suddenly a new concept. It is a concept that we in this part of our area have practiced for many years. Bristol, Tennessee and Bristol, Virginia have been practicing regionalism since what did the plaque say today? 1874 or somewhere in there. So when all of the headlines have gone on to say, well, regionalism, we are now going to practice regionalism, it was really a head scratcher for me, because we're practicing tremendous regionalism through our airport, through the airport authority, through the aerospace park, and this has gone on. The authority came about a little bit later, but this has gone on for decades, and First Tennessee Development District has gone on absolutely for decades at this point in providing services throughout the region. Our school systems have certainly worked collaboratively for quite a while, and so which brings me to some of the things that are going on now as part of regionalism. And I support regionalism. I think that it's a great thing for all of us to work together, but I just want to point out it's not a new thing. We've been doing this for a very long time. So there may be some in our community that haven't understood the impact that regionalism has played for decades in our region, but I welcome them and am glad that they have decided to work with us. And on that note, I wish everyone regionally a very Merry Christmas.
Okay. Just to throw in a little bit about regionalism, it seems that trying to define regionalism at this moment is key. And I would say from where I sit, regionalism is about each of us bringing our strengths to the table. And what regionalism is not about is an entity or a group trying to take over and tell everybody this is what regionalism is, and everybody just needs to get in line and submit or else, kind of threatening kind of thing. So the best thing that we can do as a city is to continue to focus on where we're going, focus on growing our strengths, bring everything that we have that's good and great to the table and say, yes, this is what we have to offer the region. We're a cultural hub. We're the birthplace of country music. We have one of the top 10 sporting events in the world in the August night race. We're a 10 gigabit community. We're high tech. We have all of these great things to offer, And yes, we will reach across and hold your hand and say, this is the things that we have to offer, and we embrace your strengths too. Some areas have great industry, some have great education, but no one should be allowed to stand over us and say, you can't do this or you can't do that, because it's in our best interest to keep focused on what we can do for the people of Bristol. There are a lot of things going on. When you see things in the community that you're concerned about, you do need to speak up. There's some things that take on a life and a movement of their own, and if you don't like the direction that you see something going in, absolutely, the community needs to band together and speak out. This nation is built on our individuals and our citizens. The government should fear the people, not the other way around. It's true change and movement comes through the citizens, and please, by all means, get involved, speak up, let your thoughts and ideas be known, because that's the guiding force. We have a lot of moving parts as a region as a whole, and those are going forward. We're in a very busy time. We've got a lot of things coming up at the first of next year, which will guide our general direction. This is a great time of year, however, to step back and look at our neighbors and see how they're doing. How is this healthcare change affecting you? How are your finances? What are your needs? This is the perfect time of year to reach out, take account of all of our blessings, and to look at our neighbors and see where they have needs, where we can shore up, and where we can help others and give to them, and to strengthen our community bonds. Thank you.
Okay. No, you can talk with her afterwards. That'll be fine. Thank you. So for building on some of the other things that folks have said, there's an article in today's newspaper, and we received a draft of a document on Day Center for Homelessness in our community, and I'm part of that effort, hoping that it will move forward. We are pretty desperate for a place for people to go where they can have showers and laundry, and also case management and referral to services, et cetera. So hoping that will begin to move with, and there have been starts before on this effort, but hoping that we can move that forward quickly. Also on our ballot, healthcare, we'll make sure we have correct addresses and get those out for folks to contact the state if they have objections. We'll be sure that that goes out through some of our channels. Building on the Reading Buddies and the Ready to Learn, I think that's very exciting. And just a note, our Reading Buddies program is the mentors, and then it's also a parent engagement part of the program as well. And the Big Brother Big Sister in the last several years have a site-based partnership that is a little less of a commitment than being a Big Brother Big Sister full-time, where you go and pick up a child at their home or take them to different places where you can go to a site, and that's what this is going to be, to a site and mentor them there, and then at some point, if you want to be a full Big Brother Big Sister, you can move into that. So it's a great partnership of programs, but we'll also say we need folks to step up and volunteer. And this is probably a great time with getting ready for the new semester to become a Reading Buddy if you're not doing it already, and also for the Ready to Learn partnership with the Big Brother Big Sister. Also today was with a couple of y'all at the historic marker reveal at the train station. We have a very important building in our community, in our train station, that marks where we came from with our train station history and why the city developed as it did. And we're very proud to now have a historic marker marking that history. And with that also, we talked before about the Great Streets recognition, and I just wanted to say with the Bristol First recognitions that it's important to take time to celebrate. And also, if you don't have folks taking time to do nominations, then we don't get recognitions and opportunities for celebrating. So encourage folks to nominate for our Bristol First program and also other opportunities for our community to be recognized as well. And I thank everybody for your participation, and we'll see each other a lot. So won't even say Merry Christmas to you guys. Anyway, Merry Christmas to everybody, and thank you very much.
It's time to practice staying healthy on Sesame Street.
Yes, and the first thing you have to do to stay healthy is always wash your hands.
Come on, wash your hands with Elmo. Wash, wash, wash.
Next, try to avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth.
Elmo's not touching.
And when you have to sneeze or cough, do it into the bend of your arm.